Welcome back to The Big Show. It's always nice to talk to a TV legend and a theatre legend and a legend in her own right. Sheila Hancock, how are you?
Well, sitting here looking with no makeup on and everything, I don't feel as though I've got everything. Oh dear, it makes me feel so old.
Do you know what I love about you? Let me be honest. It's your personality and your aura. You have something about you when I see you either on TV and especially on stage. How do you do that? Because so many people fail at acting, don't they?
Well, I don't know. I suppose I try to live it. I mean, even in a musical where it's very easy to just go to cliche and caricature, you know, because you don't have much to do it with. They're very broad brush marks or strokes, and I just try to get inside the mind of this woman, which, her being the mother superior of a convent, wasn't the easiest thing in the world for me, as you can imagine, particularly as I'm a Quaker, which is the absolute reverse of a Catholic nun. But I actually enjoy it because when I first read it, I thought she was a bit of a beast and nasty and strident and cross all the time. But the more I thought about it, the more I totally feel sympathy for her. I mean, it helps the fact that I don't like loud music as well, me personally. I love the score of this show. I absolutely think it's brilliant, which surprises me because it's not my sort of music at all, really. But I use my hate of that sort of music normally when I'm playing this part, and I think of this poor quiet woman suddenly being invaded by this other woman who takes over and turns her nuns into these screaming dancing dervishes. So I don't find it difficult to express my disgust.
Is it nice to originate a role as well? Because, I mean, to bring a show into the West End is one thing, to bring it to the Palladium is quite another, and then to be the first one to do it.
Yeah, that has been lovely. I've really, really enjoyed that because all the other musicals I've done, I've always been following the footsteps of people, and what I've done then is try to make it different, you know, which is quite a different objective. But this, yes, it's been lovely because the creatives, as we call them, the American team, are so skilled and so clever that I've really loved the process. It's quite different from doing a play in as much as, you know, it's very carefully crafted. I mean, you probably noticed, but nearly all the numbers, not mine because mine's a quiet number, but all the numbers finish on a real up, so the audience can't help but go mad. And the finale is staged in such a way that they're on their feet and loving it, which is, that's not cynical at all because they're totally dedicated. But I so admire their expertise, I really do.
You're serious and you have to have decorum, and your numbers are very quiet and precise, and you sing so beautifully. Does that come naturally to you?
Oh, no, it doesn't. I think of myself very much as an actor who sings and sort of puts over a number. What I try to do is tell a story and not worry about what it sounds like, because if I did that, I would be so frightened. I mean, if you're going to be in a long run, which this is, I'd much rather be in a musical because I love working with the band, I love the dancers, I love the ensemble, the fact that they're all young and excited, and some of them it's their first job and they're thrilled to bits. That is much easier than if you're coming into the theatre to do a dreary play. And I decided at this age, you know, I was only going to do 6 months in this show, and then I agreed to stay on another 3 months, and I think I'm probably going to stay another 3 months on top of that and do the year, because I sort of look at it and I think, well, I'm so lucky. Here I am in one of the greatest theatres in the country. You know, I saw Danny Kaye here, I saw Judy Garland here. It's so exciting to be possible. I'm not quite sure what dressing room they have, but I think I'm probably in the same dressing room. And to have an audience so loving it, and such a mixed audience, that's what I love. I mean, very often when you do posh plays, you're preaching to the converted. You know, you've got a kind of middle-class intellectual audience. But here we've got all sorts, all colours, all types, all ages, and they all love it. Honestly, I've never known anything like it. And standing ovations, when I'm in an audience and one of the Americans gets up, I think, oh my God, I've got to stand, otherwise I'll look mean, you know. But this, you really feel them kind of whoop up on their feet. They can't help it, you know, it's lovely.
And of course you mentioned the theatre. I mean, this is a palace of show business. Everybody's been here. When you see yourself in this dressing room before the show and you look in this big, huge mirror behind us and you're dressed as a nun, do you wonder how it came to this?
I do. I've got a photo of John in the other room in my dressing table, and I do look at him sometimes and sort of laugh because I think, well, he would be hysterical about it. But one of the parts he most liked me playing was Sweeney Todd, actually. He used to come night after night. He loved loved musicals. So I actually think he would have been here a lot if he was still alive. He would have enjoyed it.
The interesting thing when you mentioned John is the compassion that people have for you. Is that because you've been here a while and we've got to know you? Why is that?
I think it's just because I've been around a long time and I'm old. People feel sorry for me. I think it's a lot to do with that. Also, I have written 3 books now, and I'm quite honest in the way I write, and I think people identify. I don't pull any punches about grief and alcoholism and all those things, and judging by the letters I get, you saw me answering some letters when you arrived, and I know that it touches a nerve. And some people, they live really guarded lives. They have these huge griefs, and then people get sick of them being sad, so they have to pretend to be cheerful. But I suppose they read my book and think, oh, I can tell her because she'll understand. So I get these letters of people pouring their heart out, and I feel very privileged in a way that they choose to tell me something that they haven't told anybody else. But it also is a huge responsibility, because I do feel I have to reply and help them in some way. Not help, I wouldn't presume to think I can help them, but just say, yeah, I know how you feel, kind of thing.
It's interesting. I was listening to an interview you did about a year ago, and you said that this play has given you catharsis in keeping you busy, and that's something that's very important, to keep busy when you are struggling with whatever's going on in your life. The worst thing you want is to be sat at home for 20 hours of the day.
Yes, well, I am basically an awfully lazy person. I mean, everybody laughs when they say that because I do so much, but I actually have to be driven. Do you know what I mean? I have to get to the theatre at night. If I didn't have this job, I'd be sitting vegetating, and when you get to my age, your body seizes up if you don't move it. But here I have to do physical warm-up, I have to do vocal warm-up, and I have to compete with the kids. There I am, bending my body in ludicrous directions, and it's very good discipline, because honestly, if it weren't for that, I would be very idle, and my brain would atrophy as well. I like writing. I've got to write a novel now, and I'm finding it really difficult to get down to it. I have no self-discipline. But here, I've got to be here at 6 o'clock to start getting ready for the show. And that's just every day.
And again, on a technical level, you've got to be in the right place, because this is a huge set with things that could fall on you. I mean, you really do have to be the most disciplined of people in the show. You
do. You have to really behave in this show, because it's dangerous if you don't. I mean, we've had 1 or 2 near accidents. And the last show I was in Cabaret at the Lyric in Shaftesbury Avenue, I did break the rules. I ran round. I had a bit of gossip that I wanted to tell somebody in the prompt corner. And I rushed around and I fell over and I injured my hand, which is still damaged. And I got hit on the head. And it happened to be New Year's Eve, or New Year's Day, that's right. And I went to the A&E with a couple of guys from the show, and it was packed with drunks, including the doctors. They'd all been celebrating. So I waited for several hours, and then they wanted me to wait several more hours to have a scan and my hand done, which I wouldn't do, with the result that my hand is set badly and I've got an injured hand. So that'll teach you to disobey.
What were you like as a child? I mean, were you always outgoing and personable and with people?
Well, I was a wartime child. I lived through the war, which I think damaged my generation quite a lot. I was evacuated on my own when I was 8, and I was bullied like all the evacuees were. And I think I learnt to deal with people by being outgoing. I mean, it was no good being meek and mild, because they beat the hell out of you if you did. So you had to either make them laugh or stand up to them and punch them back, And I think that's probably was a big transition time in my life. I was quite quiet before that, I think. But I was very lucky, because the little primary school that I went to, there was 50 in our class, or 50 odd in our class. And in those days, they used to use drama an awful lot in lessons. You acted everything. I mean, I can remember acting the sun and the moon going round, and my girlfriend, and I remember being Hannibal, climbing over a lot of little prone infants being elephants. And it was extraordinary. And that was very good for kids, because it made us have to express ourselves. So that was a blessing. It was just an ordinary little school, but that's how they taught in those days.
Who was the first person then who noticed that you were exceptional and possibly could make a career out of who you were?
It was a bit funny, really, because I got a scholarship, which you had to in those days, because there was no free state education for grammar schools. It changed immediately I got there, but I had to get a scholarship to grammar school, and I went to Dartford Grammar School. And the teachers there, I was quite bright, and they wanted me to go for what was called a state scholarship, because again, to get to university, you had to get a scholarship, coming from a background like me. And so they discouraged my acting. I did St. Joan, and I think they all thought I was good in it, but they didn't. They kept saying, no, you must go to university. But I came from a background, I didn't know anybody who'd been to university, nobody in my street. The only people I knew were my teachers. They were the only people, and they were sort of like gods. So I didn't think, I don't want to do that. I thought, I won't fit in there, which I was probably quite right, I wouldn't have done. And so I insisted, and then the school backed me, and I got a Kent scholarship to go to RODA. And so they opposed me, but then eventually when they saw I was determined, then they backed me, which I'm eternally grateful for.
You said the fun of this show and the joyful nature of Sister Act has kept you in it for an extra 6 months than you'd signed for. Is there something better, though, about doing Shakespeare or proper plays? Because, I mean, people do get rather sniffy around theatres, don't they?
Yes, I get awfully bored with that sniffiness. I really do. No, it's not better. It's lovely and stimulating, and I adore Shakespeare. I worship Shakespeare. But I loathe this snotty attitude to musicals. I really do. I mean, the amount of skill that's gone into this show. And I can't understand why people are so strange about it. And I can't understand why they aren't hugely grateful that these people that are coming to the Palladium are coming to the theatre, a lot of them, for the first time in their lives. And I often speak to them when they wait at the stage door. And at the moment, my great thing is the Pitman Painters, the play that's on at the National. And a lot of them come down from the north to see this show. And I say, you will love the Pitman Painters. It's about these miners who painted. Go to the National Theatre. So I'm shoving them off to the National and things. But, I think theatre is a great joy at a time when things are very difficult for many people. I think it's a unifying thing to come to a theatre. And I love that aspect of the job.
Congratulations for being you. It's so nice to meet you at last. I've been asking for years. I don't know why you've been avoiding me.
I didn't know of your existence. I'm so sorry.
Story of my life.
To meet you now, though.
Congratulations on this show. Sister Act's on at the London Palladium. What a venue. And to meet you is such a thrill. Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you very much. Thank you.